Hello and welcome to another episode of T.I.M.E Talks with C.J.ATEMO. T.I.M.E is an acronym for transformation, inspiration, motivation, empowerment. It is my desire that as you interact with me on this platform, that you will have transformation, first of all in your thinking and then in your behavior as well. And then you will be inspired to do great things. You will be motivated, get the energy to ride and to flow, and empowerment, because my thought as well is to bring to you certain skills and certain knowledge, insight that will help you to fulfill the desires that you have and your purpose, and just to build you up to become who you want to be. Now, I need you to subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, C.J.ATEMO, and share the videos as well. Share the video. There have been others that have come before this, and I would like you to go back into them. If you're interacting with me for the first time on this platform, I want you to go back and just check them out, and then share the videos as well. Let's put out there positive vibes. Is it for positive vibes? Yes. Let's put it out over there. Let's just get things that are positive, things that are impactful, things that are educative, things that are uplifting out over there. And also follow me on social media at C.J.ATEMO on Twitter, C.J.ATEMO on Instagram, and C.J.ATEMO on Facebook, the page as well. Today, I want to talk about something that is dear to me, and that is consistency. I want to talk about consistency. And I had to get a proper definition of that word. You know those words that you know what it means in your mind without knowing what it means? I mean, you know what it means, but then you really don't know how to put it very well in words, but you know what it means because you have been using it over time. Well, I thought to just get out something that you would put down and write. So I went to the dictionary, and the dictionary says that it is the quality of achieving a level of performance which does not vary greatly in quality over time. I will say that again. The quality of achieving a level of performance which does not vary greatly in quality over time. So it does acknowledge that there might be a variation, but it says that variation cannot be too much over time. It says it's the quality of achieving a level of performance which does not greatly vary in quality over time. So it means that if you have been getting an A, if you are an A person, over time you're not supposed to drop to E or even D. The variance should not be great. It's supposed to be probably, if something has happened to you, then you have shifted from the A to the B. And then you get back to the A, and then if something happens again, you get back to the B. With that, then there is a limitation in the variation of quality over time. If you are going to have this performance, if there's going to be this performance that does not vary greatly in quality over time, or if there's going to be this product that does not vary greatly in quality over time, then there are certain things that we must understand are going to come to play. And I started thinking, then what makes somebody becomes consistent? And the first thing that came to my mind was their capacity. Their capacity. For you to achieve a certain performance over time, for you to be able to produce certain quality over time, for you to have certain levels of productivity over time, without that variation, without a very wide variation, then there has got to be a certain level of capacity. Capacity. Well, again, I'll come back to that same thing there, same analogy. If you're an A achiever, if your capacity is at the A level, not A level of high school, which we used to do before there was the O level and the A level, but if you were at levels of A in performance and in grade, and you get into any kind of exam, of course, because of your intellectual inclination and capacity, you have higher probability of scoring an A. So somebody will say that is an A student. You have higher probability and chances to score an A Why? Because of your capacity, your mental, intellectual capacity, how you process things, how you memorize things, how you condense things, and how you're able to reason about things, how you're able to assimilate information and use that information in producing certain answers in life or on the paper, whichever way, whatever solutions are needed. Because you have that capacity, it is easy for you then to achieve that kind of performance. Now, for anyone then to build that, I went to school partly in Rift Valley of Kenya, and Rift Valley is just a place where we've got high hills and then we've got very low valleys. So there are a lot of slopes in the Rift Valley. Well, you enjoy the slope when you're going down the slope, but when you've got to climb up the hill, then you begin to feel the pain and the push of it. Now, when I went to the school in Rift Valley, one of the things that had to happen to each one of us is that we would go jogging and keeping fit. Because I was involved in sports, we would go jogging and keeping fit in the hills. And we would be driven by the school van and taken to a valley that was about 10 kilometers away from the school. And at the foot of that valley, we would begin our exercises, which should be to run 100 meters up doing the sprints, and then we jog down. Then we run 100 meters up the hill again doing the sprints, and then we jog down. And you would do that probably 10 or 15 times. And then after that, we would begin running back to school. Remember, we have been dropped at the foot or at the bottom of a valley. So that means for us to get back to school, we're going to be climbing up the hill. What they were doing with us was building endurance, because building endurance is part of the building of that capacity. When you're building endurance, it's part of that capacity. So there were stretches. And over time, you'd find that somebody is becoming fitter. Initially, we would be coughing, thinking we would cough blood. I mean, you'd feel your whole lungs want to come out and they're on heat, and you feel like your chest is burning. And then after a while, you begin to get better at it. And as you get better at it, you begin to run faster, you begin to run longer. In fact, you begin to look forward to the exercises and the trainings that we would have. What would have shifted our performance level? It would have been the element of capacity that has been built, but it has been built through building endurance. We would be stretched so that we can perform at a certain level. Anytime you want to improve on the quality of your performance and sustain it at a high level, you need to put yourself in the place and expose yourself to the place of pressure. Because pressure builds the endurance. Endurance sustains the capacity. Capacity then produces consistency. It is pressure that builds endurance. When you are used to pressure, when you're pulled out of the place of pressure, you find that you can function easily. And it would be so easy for us, to function running on the plain ground, running in places where, there was good humidity. Because when you are in places of high altitude, you are literally fighting for oxygen. You're fighting for oxygen. So your body system begins to develop a certain capacity of being able to use little oxygen to produce much in your system. So your body just gets used to that. That's why people come in into this country and they go into high altitude training, because they get used to using less and then they do more with it. So when you come into a place when there is a bit more of oxygen, then your body goes on a ride, just on a roll. You function very well. But then the pressure of having to fight for the little oxygen in the high altitude, that pressure that causes the body to adapt to a different way of doing things and builds endurance, is what would create the capacity of this body, so that the body then is able to perform at a certain level consistently. It would not change greatly. So no matter where you put the person, they are able to run certain races, they're able to engage for a certain amount of time, they're able to be on the road, they're able to be on the run for a certain amount of time. Why? Because they have built capacity, which has come from endurance, which has been built by pressure. And so now they have consistency. Because for you to keep producing the same thing and keep on doing it the same thing, you need to have some inner strength. You need to build that. Now, people begin things and then they give up on them, because that reveals how built up they were for whatever they were doing. If I take up weights right now and the weights are beyond me, or I'm not built up yet to carry them. You see, it's one thing to lift them. It's another thing to actually train with the weights that I get. If I pick up a weight right now, 300 kgs, if I lift it up right now, if I am able to lift it up, if I will lift it up actually, how long I will hold on to that weight depends on how well I have built my muscle. It's not very difficult to just lift up that thing. Sometimes you can, but again, you can lift it up and then you snap your back, because you don't have the capacity for it. But a lot of people take up things the way people would take up weight, that you are able to lift it the first time, but you cannot lift it beyond 5 times. Why? Because you do not have that capacity. So it causes you then not to become consistent. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important for you to develop your mind, to develop your will, to develop your muscle, to develop your vision, to develop your purpose, to develop your determination. It's important for you to develop your emotions, to build to the place where you can produce a certain kind of performance and result without the variation being great over a period of time. For you to do this, you must allow yourself sometimes to be exposed to pressure. Do not always run away from pressure. Do not always jump out of things that are unpleasant. Do not always avoid the road that you feel is rough or is tough. Some of those have been designed to build up your endurance. Do not always move away from people that you think are unpleasant, because how then will you grow yourself into the place where you can work well regardless of the people who are around you? Pressure is good for your growth because it builds in you endurance. Same way that immunization causes the body to respond with the antibodies so that you have this immunity against any disease. It's just the same thing, that the body is exposed to something that it will respond or react to, and then it builds itself against whatever foreign body would have come in. Same way, do not always run away from difficult things. Don't run away from difficult problems. Some of them are helping you. Some of them are stretching you. They are growing you as you're growing and building yourself, both in endurance and in capacity as well, so that you can have consistency. Eventually, people will remember you for what you're consistent in. Before we got onto this particular broadcast that I needed to do, this short thing that I've got to do and bring out to you, we were just talking with my people over here. I say, if you do something for so long, everybody begins to pay attention. That's the power of consistency. But you cannot do it for so long if you don't have the power to do it. You cannot stand on one foot. You cannot stand on one foot for long if you do not have strength on the other foot. If you're unfit, you will not be able to do that. So there is something that helps you to become consistent, and that is capacity. But that capacity is built by the pressure that brings endurance. That endurance actually becomes your capacity. So it is important for you once in a while and over as well to expose yourself to the kind of pressure that causes you to have growth. Well, I hope that this little talk that I have done right here in these few minutes has been of help to you. I hope that you are going to be more consistent in the things that you do. And even when you're facing pressure, and even when you're facing animosity, even when you face hostility, I hope you're not going to quit, because it's building up in you something that you're going to need in the future. And that is the power to stay on course and produce at a certain level without having great variation over time. That's when people say you are consistent. So I want to see you consistent in business. I want to see you consistent in leadership. I want to see you consistent in character. I want to see you consistent in your thoughts. I want to see you consistent in how you handle things. I want to see you consistent in your performance. So stay on course. Stay right over there. Sometimes it will look like it's breaking you down. But if you still hang on in there and hold on, then you will have power over it, and you can continue to improve on your performance over and over. This has been Time Talks with C.J.ATEMO. Remember, TIME is an acronym for transformation, inspiration, motivation, and empowerment. And I would like to urge you one more time that please subscribe to this YouTube channel, C.J.ATEMO. Share the video. Share it with your friends, your colleagues, your family, your fraternity, and everywhere else. Just let good, positive vibes and energy go out over there. Follow me as well at C.J.ATEMO on Twitter, C.J.ATEMO on Facebook, C.J.ATEMO on Instagram. And until the next Wednesday when we release the next video, keep it right here on Time Talks.